Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It is time to update my product Level Up, which is a product that I created a couple of years ago on my channel because I wanted a way to incorporate a couple of different projects. I wanted to continue Pan Those Eyeshadows similar to Pan Those Eyeshadows, that project, but I felt like with that project I neglected the rest of the palette. So I thought, how can I incorporate something like Left Behind into the project but still hit pan? And I kind of merged those two projects into this one, which again is for Level Up. How it works is that you have different levels. Currently I'm on level 5, and your goal is to use every single shadow in the palette the same amount of times as the level you're on, so currently 5 times per shadow. And then since I also want to hit pan, you have to hit the same amount of pans as well as the level you're on, so that for me again would be 5 pans. That's kind of what I'm currently trying to do. I do have a more in-depth introduction video that I posted at the beginning of the year, and I will also have the playlist linked down below with everyone else who's joined in this project since it started when I first kicked it off, so you can check that out there. But I'm going to jump into the video and let you know where I'm sitting with my palette. But before I do that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So like I said, I am currently on level 5, and for level 5 I rolled in quite a large palette. I rolled in this one right here, which is my Rose Quartz palette. Let me roll what it looked like when I first rolled it in last month. I already had quite a few pans in here. How many did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 pans. Yeah, 4 pans in here. So I need to hit another 5 before I can roll this palette out, which would mean that I have pan on half of the shades because it is an 18 pan palette. Since there's quite a few shades in here, I'm not expecting to finish this goal in 1 month, but this is what the palette looks like right now. So there is some differences for sure. I don't know if you can spot them straight away, but I still have quite a ways to go, and I will of course talk you through each shade in order. So as always, I will have the differences here so you can see this palette from last month compared to this month. It's just easier than me holding up the palette constantly. I mean, I can do that too. Again, this is the overview right here, but you can see it there. So I'm going to go through each shade and how I've used it. So we're kicking off with the shade Quartz, which I already had a pan on when I first introduced this palette, and I actually haven't used this one at all yet. I did mention that the first 3 shades in the palette were probably going to be the ones that I struggle with the most because I have other neutral shades that I'm panning outside of this project, and these are kind of the more overlapping shades compared to the rest of the palette, because this one is a lot more cool tone for the rest of it, but these are the warmer shades which are again more similar to other things that I'm panning. So of course I haven't used it all yet, but the shade Aura and Gratitude right next to it I have used once. I'm actually wearing them today. I'm wearing them in my crease and everything and outer corner. I do have a deeper shade as well in my very outer corner, but I'm wearing these 2 shades for that gradient, so I have one use each on those. Then the rest of the row I also have neglected a little bit. I definitely neglected the top row the most. So the shade Cosmic Love and Empowered I have not used at all either. Cosmic Love I do have a pan on as well. I had that since introduction, and I actually did that earlier this year, but yeah, no more uses on that one, or Empowered. But then the last shade on the first row I actually have used twice, so I do have 2 uses there. One of them is actually today. I'm wearing it on my inner half of my lid. I do have it topped with something else though, but I'm wearing that one today. Then moving on to the second row, we have the shade Precious, which is a cool tone kind of grey transition shade, and I have reached for that one time, so a little bit of use but not too much yet. I still have 4 more uses to go. Then next to that we have the shade Energized, which I have reached for 3 times, so still again below the 5 use minimum. However, this is actually a shade that I have decided to hit pan on, so I definitely probably wouldn't have to use it more than 5 times. It currently looks like this, so there's a little bit of movement but no proper dip or anything. These pans aren't too deep, so fingers crossed it won't take me too long, but I definitely need to focus in on this shade quite a lot more in the next month if I want to pan on it anytime soon. The next shade though is one that is very exciting, because that is the shade Lovestone, and this is actually a shade that I have hit pan on. So that is this kind of weird cream shade in the palette, and originally I was a bit hesitant on how to use this one because yeah, it's just a weird type of shade. However, I have absolutely fallen in love with this shade for one particular reason. Before I tell you that though, I did use this one 11 times to hit pan, but I have since then actually continued using it, and I have reached for it another 11 times for a total of 22 uses in the project, which is amazing. And the pan on this one is now very, very large, as you can see. So how I have fallen in love with this shade and how I'm using it is actually kind of as a glitter glue. So before I put my lid shades on, I do put this one down as, again, a base for the rest of my shimmers, and it really helps the rest of my shimmers to kind of become the best they can be. So it really brings out the metallicness in shadows, and I really, really love it. And I'm definitely going to continue using the shade as long as I have this palette out, because it's just an easy shade, and I may actually try to pan that one at some point, but probably not this year, but maybe next year. So that is the shade Lovestone, and it's my first pan. Then moving on, right next to that we have the lightest matte in the palette, which is called Cherished, and that one is a really pale kind of pink shade. And hopefully, as you can see there, I do have a decent dip in the shadow, because this is another shade that I have decided to hit pan on. I do still have quite a ways to go. I think maybe I'm halfway to pan now. It might speed up towards the end, but yeah, I still have a decent way to go. And so far I have reached for that one 17 times. I am wearing this one today as well to blend out like the crease shades. It does work really nicely to blend out crease shades, especially if I go for like mauve toned looks or anything with a bit of pink in it. Even these like brownish shades that I talked about earlier do have a little bit of pink in them, so it does work really nicely to blend those out. It is too deep to use as like a setting shade. Well, maybe not, but I don't set my lid anyway. So it does work as a blending out shade and like as a last transition shade to use, help with that fade, I guess. So that's how I've been using it, and I am really hopeful that I can pan on this one by next update. Then next to that we have a really, really beautiful shimmer, but I have not used that at all yet. That is the shade Blissful. I just have a lot of beautiful sparkly shades that I'm reaching for elsewhere, so that's why I haven't reached for that one yet, but I'm sure I will be able to do that easily once I focus in on it. But yeah, so far no uses on Blissful. Then lastly, on the second row we have the shade Happiness, which is a kind of the brightest color in the palette when it comes to mattes. It's this really beautiful kind of pink shade, and you can see it right there, of course. I love these type of tones, so this one has been quite easy for me to incorporate. I do still have 2 more uses to go though, but I know that I'm not going to have any issues getting through that at all in the next month, because again, I really love this shade. Then moving on to the final row, we're starting off with the shade Mantra, which is the deepest shade in the palette, and this is one that I have reached for 3 times as well, so 2 more uses to go to hit that usage goal. I'm not really planning to hit pan on any more of the mattes apart from Cherished, so any of these I'm just happy if I reach my 5 uses goal on, and anything above that of course is just going to be a bonus. But I know that I can easily reach for this one as an outer corner shade or as a liner, something like that, so this one should be out very, very easily next updates. Then we have the shade Serenity, which I have reached for twice. Again, it is one of those more cool tone shades. I do have a quite similar shade to this one in my palette, which is called Dusty Rose. This one is a little bit deeper though, and I'm not sure if they're exact, but I do use them in a similar way. So I haven't been able to reach for this one as much as I wanted, because I've been reaching for that one instead, of course, to prioritize. But I have 2 uses on this one, so again, I think 3 more uses is quite easily done in a month, so fingers crossed I can have that one done by next update. Then we have another shimmer shadow, which is called Abundance, and this is another one that I have not reached for at all yet. I do definitely have some shades in here that I haven't reached for that much or at all, just because I know that I'm quite far away from pan on quite a few of these shades, so I know that I have time to hit my usage goals, and I know that I can do looks like purely with this palette for a couple of days and get those uses out quite easily, or of course incorporate it with other things. But yeah, I'm not too worried about not having uses goals done yet, because again, I'm not there with my pans. But yeah, no uses on Abundance, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is okay. Then the last shade that I have hit my usage goal so far on is the next one, which is called Moon Magic. Is this one right here. I really love this shade, and I actually have this one topped on top of this shade, what's it called again, Joy, right here. So I have this one on my inner part of my lid, and I topped it off with Moon Magic. It's a really, really stunning, very shiny shade that has like a blue to pink shift. Yeah, again, very stunning shadow. And again, I have hit my usage goal with this look today. However, it is definitely one that I'm going to try to hit pan on. So you will definitely see some more usage on this one, and hopefully a pan by next update. I do think I can get there. I do think, again, I have similar kind of dip as like with this one, so I'll probably halfway to pan, but I don't know how many uses it's going to take to hit pan on it, so we're just going to have to see. Then we have the shade Radiance right here, which is another one that I have not used at all yet. It's just a transition shade, which I have plenty of in my Panda palette, which is why I'm neglecting some of them in here. But yeah, I think I will try to prioritize this one soon, so I can get my usage out of this one. I will try once I start hitting more pans in this palette, I will definitely focus on this one to get my uses out, because I don't want to be a situation where I have all my pans but not all my uses. So again, we're gonna have to see how long it takes, but no uses so far, which isn't ideal, but it is okay. Then finally in the palette we have the shade Self Love, which is another shimmer, and it's another one that I'm trying to hit pan on, but I'm not there yet, as you can see. I do have a pretty good dip on it though, and it's also one that I'm wearing today on my inner corner. That's how I use it most of the time. So far I have 4 uses on it, including today, so I'm shy 1 use of that usage goal, but similarly to some of the other shades, I will definitely surpass that when I try to hit pan on it. I would say that I'm probably again about halfway to pan, so fingers crossed I can have pan on it next month, but we're just gonna have to see how I get on with the palette. So that is where I am with this palette now. As you can see, I only have 1 new pan in Lovestone, but I do have some good dips. Again, the ones that I have decided to hit pan on is this shade here, this shade here, this shade here, and this shade here. And I have pretty good dips in all of those, apart from maybe this shade, but it's a good everyday type of shadow, so I think that it should be easy to incorporate into like looks with other things that I'm panning. So we'll see how long it takes for me to hit pan on this palette. Sorry, that's throwing off my brightness a little bit, so I'm gonna put it down. But yeah, we'll see how long it takes for me to hit pan on this palette for the rest of the 4 shades. There is a chance that I can do it in the next month, but not 100%. It depends on how much I reach for this one. If I do end up leveling up by next month, I want you again to let me know if you want me to continue on with level 6 at that point, or restart at level 1. I did kind of ask last update too, and it is quite split. Initially I think a lot of people said level 6, but then later on more people said like start over, so I'm still very torn. So leave me any feedback or any reasonings why you prefer one or the other down below, and I'm gonna have to make a decision probably by next month. But for now I'm really happy with the progress that I've been able to make. Yes, I probably could have done more when it comes to the usage on this palette, not use the pans, but again, since I knew that I still had a way to go with the pans, I am not too worried about the uses, and I know that I can knock it out very fast with this palette because it is one of my favorites. So again, I will refer back to the playlist down below if you want to binge this series. I know so many people have joined into this project, which I'm so grateful for. And other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys!